Hi, welcome back for the next part of Skunk and Badger. We are almost halfway through the book, and we are going to continue to see what Skunk was going to read about Chicken Little and how this story plays out when he does story time with the chickens. Okay, so this is how he read the book to the chickens. Humbled by the sky is falling fiasco, Chicken Little left on a journey. She was determined to make up for what she had done. I will not return until I find something that makes a difference, Chicken Little said. It was quite a journey. Chicken Little traveled through the bands of starlings that leapt from the leaf litter and frogs that chorused her to lead her ashtray. She snuck past lines of battling army ants and hid in damp ditches. Finally, she met a wise green parakeet. The parakeet gave her a magic kernel of corn. Eat the kernel in a time of need, the parakeet told her. Traversing the mountain glacier, Chicken Little lost a claw to frostbite, and then a crust of snow gave way with nothing but air underneath it. It was a crevice, a crack in the glacier, half hidden by the blown-over snow. Into the crevice Chicken Little fell. She turned in the air, falling and falling. In desperation, she flapped the wings that she'd been told were worthless. The wings worked. Or, well enough. Chicken Little skidded onto the other side of the crevice and dug her remaining claws into the crusty snow. The effort about did her. Chicken Little lay on the ice panting, trying to remember which pocket held her magic corn kernel. Where was it? She could not seem to find it, and here Chicken Little faced several facts. Batten hens were not made for mountaineering. Also, a chicken on ice is soon a dead chicken. If it were not for a family of mountain pikas dragging her into their warm straw-filled den, Chicken Little would be no more. The pikas saw Chicken Little's life. In return, Chicken Little left 3 eggs. The eggs confused the pikas. The pikas are small rabbits and only eat plants. What would you do with 3 big eggs? There is a story about what happened to the eggs, which we should tell another time, said Skunk. Bonk, said the Jersey Giant. Okay, back to the story, said Skunk. Later, Chicken Little would be grateful that she had not used her magical kernel of corn on the glacier. If she had used it on that glacier, it would have served only her. By waiting, Chicken Little was able to use it for, and Skunk yelled out, greater good of all chickens. More adventures followed. Chicken Little traveled further and farther and further. Use the kernel, Badger thought and again. Then one day Chicken Little saw a figure at the far end of the lake. It was a woman in hiking shoes and a wool blazer with patches on the elbows. Chicken Little saw the woman right in the sand with her walking stick. When Chicken Little arrived at the lake's far end, the woman was gone, but her markings in the sand were still there. It was Chicken Scratch. Yes, the most ancient of chicken languages, words, numbers, symbols. Chicken Little read electron, energy, exponent, wave number, unit length, integer, electromagnet radiation in a vacuum, principal quantum numbers of the orbitals, the constant. There were symbols too, divided and multiplied by infinity, greater, less than, equal to, coefficients, decimals. That sounds like a mathematical equation, thought Badger. He nearly dropped the tiny orange hen. That night, Chicken Little considered what she had read in the sand. The next morning, Chicken Little knew that if she applied the chicken scratch, it would be something that made a difference. Chicken Little gobbled down the magic corn kernel, and this is how she brought back. The quantum leap, said Skunk. The quantum leap is not a leap, or a hop, or a hurtling, but a disappearance in one place and a reappearance in another. The quantum leap made the chicken's world safer. Chicken Little became known as Chicken Little the Mighty. That's how they do it? Science? Thought Badger, looking around as the chickens in wonder. Skunk closed the book with a thump. The end. The chickens broke into squawks. Bark, 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 bark. The tiny orange hen in Badger's arms tapped him with her beak. Badger nodded at her. That was a good story, he thought, sighing. Adventure and science made the best stories. Now he looked around his rock room. There were chickens on the floor, chickens on the bookshelf, chickens on the rock tumbler and the windowsills. He looked at the tiny orange hen in his arms. Orange like in a gate, he thought, and happiness flooded through him. This is the best night of my life. A speckled chicken plopped and fluttered. Bark, bark, bark. With that, Badger's rock room drained of chickens. The tiny orange hen squabbled from Badger's arms and plunged into fur-blank feathered surge. Badger looked at Skunk. Skunk grinned and he gestured to Badger to follow. Badger followed. The moon! The moon filled the porch end to end. Oh, said Badger. Skunk sighed. For a long while, Badger and Skunk stood side by side on the porch watching the moon rise. The chickens had gathered in the yard. Badger's dried-out garden bloomed with feathery poofs and tufts, crowns and tassels. Chickens are beautiful, whispered Badger. Skunk nodded yes, but there are at least 100 chickens. That is too many chickens. Not in North Twist. I will have to be careful with my chicken whistle next time. Ha, 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 ha. They both laughed. Without warning, the chickens shook themselves off, formed a line, and strolled past Skunk and Badger into the brownstone. Badger looked at Skunk. There is popcorn left, Skunk shrugged. Then Skunk sneezed. Colors burst off Skunk's nose like fireworks. Oh, Badger stepped back. Skunk smiled and rubbed his nose. Moon dust gets everywhere. Skunk pointed at Badger's face. Eyebrows. And then Skunk followed the chickens inside. Badger rubbed a paw over his eyebrows and swore he saw a dust with shimmer drift in front of his eyes as he entered the brownstone again. Badger thought he could not remember a more magical evening. The doorbell rang. I'll get it, yelled Skunk. All right, we are on chapter 7. We're going to continue and see what happens with their friendship still, okay? Chapter 7. Stoat, yelled Skunk. At the word stoat, chickens jumped and climbed. They scrambled onto bookshelves. They scooted behind rocks. Chickens tucked themselves under cushions and clambered into the cupboards. The air fogged with chickens' dander and wobble with feathers. Badger ran toward the front door. Skunk was running back towards the kitchen. The two of them collided in the hallway. Oh, ow! Then everything went still, so still that Badger had feathers hitting the floorboards. Skunk looked at Badger with eyes gone wild. He pointed at the door. Stoatgram for you? Who would send a stoatgram? What were they thinking? I slammed the door shut. The doorbell rang. Badger nodded. I will get it. Skunk ran in front of him. Leave it. This is a stout. Stouts are not friendly. Badger stepped around him. Skunk grabbed Badger's form and hissed, Badger, there are chickens here. I will not invite the stoat in, said Badger as he freed himself from Skunk's paw. Skunk's jaw dropped in horror and he looked around. Then he slapped his paws to his mouth. Hide, he yelled and raced around the corner. The doorbell rang, rang, rang. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Badger went to the door thinking, it is only a stout. Badgers are bigger. He opened the door. A stout on the job, thought Badger as he looked down upon the stout, observing her messenger bag that the Speedy Stout delivery patch sewn on her company jacket. Looking for a badger named Badger. Descriptive. You that particular badger? Asked the stout. Badger nearly rolled his eyes but stopped himself. That's me. Got a stoatgram for me? Right here, mumbled the stout, digging in her bag. Suddenly, in a movement so swiftly that Badger nearly missed it, the stout reached behind Badger's leg and snatched something out of the air. Ah! The stout looked at something pinched between her claws. Badger felt blood drain from his face. The stout held a tiny feather. The stout sniffed it. As suspected. A smile curled the stout's lips and eyebrow rose. Seen any chickens lately? Then the stout dove. Badger blocked the stoat with a knee. The stout put a foot in the door. Badger shoved the stout backward and said, Stoutgram for Badger now. Huffy, 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 no need for that. I got it right here. The stout adjusted her lapel, lapel, and then Badger's stoutgram out of the bag. Badger jerked it from the stout's grasp, pocketed, and grabbed hold of the door. The stout shook her head and smiled. She held out a clipboard. Sign. Badger did not want to let go of the door. He narrowed his eyes at the stout. The stout put her paws up. I won't do a thing. I promise. Badger braced the door as best as he could. He took hold of the clipboard and pen and signed. He did not recognize his own signature. He tossed the clipboard in the direction of the stout and slammed the door and drew the bolt. Then Badger pulled the stoutgram out of his pocket for a peek. Under center it read, Miss Lulu P. Martin. He stuffed the stoutgram back into his pocket and thought, to be read later. Then he drew the double bolt and latched the chain. When he turned, the brownstone seemed deserted. Skunk? Chickens. Hello, Badger called out. Tiny feathers floated in the air. The Speedy Stout delivery stout is gone. Skunk's head popped in. Gone? Are you sure? The stout is gone, said Badger. Skunk jumped into the hallway, looked both ways, and nodded. Then he stepped forward and stretched out his paws. Who sent you a stoutgram? Let me see. Badger clamped a paw over his pocket. It's from Aunt Lulu for me. Skunk's face fell. Aunt Lulu? No, why would she do that? As if it were a great mystery, Badger laid out his paws and raised his eyebrows. Skunk slumped. I know why. Stouts are in the weasel family. Aunt Lulu has a soft spot for any weasel, he straightened up. But stouts? How can she like them? She never said anything to me about stouts, or I would have shown her my bite marks. Skunk rolled his sleeve up and pointed to a scar. Skunk nodded. Yes, a stout bit me with the pointy little teeth. Quick, too. Bite, bite, bite. That is a stout. And the worst thing? Skunk pulled over a stool, climbed on top of it, and whispered directly into Badger's ear. Stouts drag off chickens. You'll never see those chickens again. We must take precautions. Skunk looked at Badger and waited, his eyes full of worry. Precautions? Badger asked. He wasn't sure he liked the sound of that. But now there was another sound, a squishing sound. It came from a rubber boot to his left. He looked into the boot and a chicken blinked up at him. An ear-flap hat on the coat stand wiggled. An outburst of bantan hen. She shook herself and floated to the floor. Chickens, called Skunk. He leapt off the stool and began dashing into corners, nooks, crannies, and shadows. You can come out now. Come out, come out. Like that, chickens poked their heads in. The Jersey Giant thumped down the stairs. The Coshamos rounded out a corner. Here today, gone to Leghorn, Badger thought, as a Leghorn stepped strolling inside the hallway. Skunk skidded around in greeting. Badger searched for the tiny orange hen. He spotted her perched on the newel panel post at the bottom of the stairs. She had fluffed into an orange orb and was observing him with her tiny black eyes. Meanwhile, the hallway filled with chickens. First they covered the floorboards, then the stairs, and the tops of the furniture, and then chickens landed on other chickens. This did not go well. Larry heaved himself into the hallway and let loose with a cough-a-doodle. Badger took that as his cue. He clapped his paws. Time to wrap it up. Lasso that electron, hold on tight, and go wherever quantum leaping chickens go at night. Badger felt rather clever, rhyming and everything. It was meant to be funny. The chickens turned. They stared at Badger. Left, right, blink, blink. The quantum leap does not work like that, said Skunk. This is no time for jokes. Batten the hatches, secure the perimeter. All bolts must be bolted. Above all else, the chickens must stay overnight. 100 chickens overnight? Surely not. Skunk shot Badger a heated look. Badger continued anyway. My brownstone is not a chicken coop. Look, that stout was a speedy stout delivery stout. She is a stout with a job to do. She is long gone by now. Skunk marched up to him, sending chicken scrambling. My brownstone? If I am your roommate, this is our brownstone, Badger. Skunk pointed to the door. Do you know what happened when I opened that door? That stout licked her eye teeth. I am a skunk. I am not dinner, Skunk leaned in. Chickens are our guests. Bark, 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 said the chickens. Fine, Badger said. Do what you need to do. I'm going to bed, but know this. I do not clean up after chicken sleepovers. Badger glanced at the post and saw the tiny orange hen no longer there. Bark, 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 said the chickens as he climbed the stairs and shut his bedroom door. Inside his bedroom, Badger heard loud buckings and the whiffling of wings and low, treble clucks coming from around the house. Badger slid to the floor. This cannot continue. And then he remembered the stoutgram. He patted his pocket and felt the crumpled paper. Aunt Lulu had taken care of this situation. Badger had only read the news in Aunt Lulu's stoutgram. Badger pulled the wadded paper out of his pocket, smoothed it, and ripped open the seal and read, Badger, disappointed in you. Skunk to stay in my brownstone. If difficult after a month, contact me again. Aunt Lulu. Badger inhaled sharply. She couldn't do this. He looked at the paper again. She could. Badger read the message for a third time. She had done it. In a daze, Badger folded the message along its creases and got up to the floor. He walked to his desk and opened the correspondence drawer. He put the stoutgram inside and shut it, and then he sat on the edge of the bed. What did Aunt Lulu know of dirty dishes and laws of nature? What did she know about boxes of stamped flat and doors that banged open? Badger had seen tongs holding smoking peppers, had experienced elephants stuck in his ears. Rocket potatoes still lay in the rocket potato corner. The kitchen oozed. And chickens, everywhere chickens. Bark, bark, bark. Not a language. The quantum leap? More tall a tale than science. And now, 100 chicken sleepover? What about important rock work? Important rock work must be done. Important rock work. The whole world was against him. Badger buried under the covers. And guess what? We are going to stop here, and I'm going to leave you with hanging on to see what happens next, because I am not going to finish the book. So we do have the book here. It's called Skunk and Badger at the library. If you want to read it yourself, you can come check it out. We still have halfway through the book, but I would like you to come in and check it out and see what happens with these two friends and with the chickens. So I'm going to leave you hanging here, and come in anytime, check it out. If we don't have it on the shelf, we can order it for you from another library. It takes a few days to get here, but you're more than welcome to find out what happens when you come check out the book yourself, okay? Thank you so much for, coming on here and watching the videos of these family story nights. We will continue summer reading story nights in the summer again with me. I will pick out a classic book. I'm not sure which one yet. I'm still in the works of what we're going to do, but if you do sign up, we will be giving out juice box and freeze pop. You can have weekly. So once you sign up, you will be signed up for the 6 weeks of the summer, and just keep watching my videos, and you'll be getting those weekly. You'll be getting a phone call from us, okay? Thank you so much again for attending this program, and again, come in anytime and see about the book and check it out and see what happens at the end. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.